Hey, comic book fans, it's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and in today's episode, as you can see, I'm on the road, and I'm headed up to Hunt Valley, Maryland, to a little comic book show held by Clandestine Comics. Now, this show is held just about every month of the year here in the Baltimore area. It alternates sites, though, between Hunt Valley, Maryland, and Laurel, Maryland. And this one is in Hunt Valley, and this is located just north of Baltimore as you head up towards Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So I'm heading up. I don't know what I'm looking for, but I do know that I don't have a lot of time today, as I've got a long trip planned for later this afternoon, and I'm going to be traveling after that. It's going to be a little bit of a 4 to 5 hour drive, but I wanted to squeeze in the show today, go by, see if I can find some of those keys that I've been looking for to knock off on my 2023 goals list, and then maybe find a few other things. I don't know, but I definitely know I'm not going to be filming today because I'm not going to have time to linger too much with that trip in front of me. But I will come back and we'll go over any books that I find, and I hope you enjoy that part in today's episode, so just stay tuned and I'll be right back.
All right, everybody, so I finally made it back home after the comic book show up in Hunt Valley, Maryland, held by Clandestine Comics, and after my long trip over the weekend. So I finally got a chance to sit down and I can show you the books that I picked up at the show. As I said before, I did not have a lot of time because I had that long trip ahead of me. So I only spent about 2 hours at the show, and that was honestly longer than I expected, and I was shocked about how many. It felt like there was a lot more dealers at the show than there normally is. And I think part of it was that part of the room was blocked off. They couldn't get the curtain open to expand the room, so they expanded out into the hallway. And it just felt like the show was a lot bigger and had more dealers. It probably had the same number, I don't know. But most of the local dealers were there, and they were all bringing great stuff. I was very disciplined, though. I was very much focused on the books that I wanted for my PC. Like I said, I didn't have time to go digging and finding smaller keys or anything like that. It was basically I was wall shopping the whole time. Maybe a little bit depending on the dealer, going through some of their bins. But as I normally do, I'll go to the show, I'll go through the walls. If I don't find any of the big keys I'm looking for, I'll go back to the dealers that I know have some of the best books there, and I will go through their bins. And that's what I did on this show. And after, it was probably about an hour and a half before I finally ended up buying something. And I only got 2 books at the show, just to give you a little precursor to what's going to happen right here, what I'm going to show you. And part of that was these are big books. Both of them are big keys. One of them was on my 2023 goals list. The other one was not, but I can tell you it was definitely floating in that background of, I want to get this book at some point. So it's not like it's a bad book. It's just it wasn't on the initial 2023 list. But I came down to it and I'm looking at the price tag and I'm going, well, I can get one of these 2. And it all depended on, well, which one did I want more? Should I get the one on the list or should I get the other one? I mean, both of them are really great books. And I ended up talking with Rob from Cool Stuff Collectibles, and there was, I think, another dealer or somebody else that was there too. And I was talking to them and I said, okay, here's the scenario. I've got this book and this book. I don't want to have to buy both. Both of them would be way over budget, but I can definitely do one of these 2. And which one should I get? And I was a little surprised which one they selected. But I'll go through both of them and I will reveal afterwards which one they suggested. Now, the first one that I've got here, I ended up getting from TBC Comics, To Be Continued Comics, out of Charleston, Maryland. Keith he sets up at most of these local shows, and he brings some great books. And he sets up and he does the show, and then he heads back to Charleston and they do a Whatnot show live every Sunday night. And at the show, he always brings some really good books, some very high-priced, graded books, but a lot of raw books that are really fantastic. And I dug through, after I went through the show once, and I decided I couldn't find anything on the walls that I really wanted. Let's start digging in. His was the first booth I went to because his books are always, there's at least several boxes there that are really just top-notch, high-grade keys that doesn't disappoint. And I made a mistake. When I went through the boxes the first time, he had a beautiful Fantastic Four 112, the Hulk Thing battle cover, and at a pretty decent price, but it wasn't on the top of my list. And I'm going, I'll go back to that. In fact, before I picked up these two books right here, that book was the one I went back for. And when I went back afterwards and started looking for it, that book was long gone. And later on, I asked him, and he said, yeah, that book didn't last long in there. And I regret that. That book is it's low on the list for this year, but it is definitely on the list. And I'm talking about a higher grade one because I've got what do I have? A 7 or a 7.5 in that. And I'd like to have that a little bit higher. But anyway, that book wasn't there, but there was another book that I really, really liked. It wasn't on the list, but I went ahead and got it because Keith ended up making a pretty good deal. And I will factor into the story when I'm finished reviewing both of these. But let's just show you the book. It is Batman Beyond #1. And this is a really sharp copy. And price tag was a little high, but Keith, being the good guy he is, he ended up working me a deal, and I didn't bundle. I just asked, hey, what can you do on this? And he lowered the price enough that I'm like, wow, that's actually pretty good. And so I snapped this up, and this book right here has just been increasing in value. And I don't know. I had several of these books later on. I was obviously a lot older when this book came out. This book came out in the end of '99. And I guess I had watched the show. I love the show, the Darwin Cook artwork from the beginning, how he helped create that sequence. I love that story. Love Terry McGinnis. I love that. The whole Batman Beyond thing was just fantastic. But I'd never had this book. And I was shocked at how much these books go for as 9.8s. Even this last couple months, book has gone from here just a few weeks ago, here in October, from just a little over $1,000 to back in August going for $1,700, $1,500. I don't know if the market's dropping or just somebody got a deal. I don't know. But I'm like, oh my God, this book looks really fantastic. And man, I'm looking forward to getting this into the shop and getting this into CGC about as quick as I can. Even 9.6s recently have sold for $449, $480. That's both in October and then back in September for $380. And even if this book drops down just a little bit for me, let's hope not, there's still a lot of fruit on the tree for me on this because I didn't pay anywhere close to this. And I was just ecstatic to get this book. But let me tell you part of the story here. So what came down to was it was this book and the next one I'm going to show you. And let me just tell you the story real quick, what happened. When I talked to Rob from Cool Stuff Collectibles, I said, should I get this book or should I get this book? And this book I bought from a dealer that was right across from Rob's table. A person I've dealt with before. I don't know his name, but I've dealt with him before. Pretty good guy. He's always at shows, always has a lot of decent books. There's definitely some gems in there, some things that are a little bit lower grade than I would like, but he always has some good books in there. And he had this book, and we talked about it, and it looks immaculate. And I said, this is the other book I was considering, because I wasn't going to pick up both of them for these price tags. And I'm not going to go over prices and everything at this point because we ended up, prices you're going to see on these on the bags here are not even close to what I ended up paying for these things. But even with a little bit of a discount, I wasn't going to be able to afford both unless I got a significant discount. Well, like I said, this one, I got a pretty significant discount. That left me room to be able to get this one too. So I ended up with both of these. And I didn't pay close to this, and I was real happy to get this. This is Spider-Man 238, first appearance of the Hobgoblin, a book that I had originally as a kid. It was before I really started collecting. Now, I was buying comics every week, but I don't want to say collecting in the sense that I was buying them, bagging and boarding them, and caring for them in the sense that I was a collector. I was a collector reader. And I had this book. It was decent. I had started keeping the books a little bit better conditioned, bag and board, but I was still reading these comics. I only had one copy of this, and I read this thing. I had the tattoos in it. I ended up getting that graded in one of my early CGC submissions, and I ended up with a 9.0. I ended up selling that because I figured somewhere down the line I was going to replace this. And I finally did after about 2 years since I've sold that. And so here's the deal. Talking with Rob and the other dealer, I gave the scenario. It's like, I don't want to have to buy both of these. Now, obviously, I've already revealed that I bought both of them, and that's because I was able to get a price discount. Putting the cart in front of the horse here for the story. But here's the thing. Which book should I get? That was the question. If I had to buy just one, which one should I get? And this is on my list. This was on my 2023 goals list. Batman Beyond was not. But it's still a significant book. And I said, which one would you get? And surprisingly, both of them said Batman Beyond, because there was bigger potential out there for him. And we didn't get into the specifics about that and everything, but I thought that was really interesting. And I said, okay. So I ended up buying Batman Beyond first. And that was my decision. I was going to get this. And as I said, Keith gave me a big enough deal on this that left me enough cash that I could come over, and if I could get this dealer to come down just a little bit. Now he did. It wasn't close to that, but he came down significantly enough that I felt comfortable go ahead and buying both of these today. So that's what I ended up getting at the Clandestine show up in Hunt Valley. And I didn't get any other books. As I said, I was getting ready to get on the road and drive for another 5 hours before I headed down to my home place in West Virginia. And I was pretty happy with both of these. So that is my haul from the comic book show. Pretty short today. I hope you guys enjoyed the story. But I've got one little bonus just because this is going to end up being a shorter video. Let me show you something that my wife ended up getting me for my birthday. I showed off in one of the previous videos the print from J. Scott Campbell that my daughter got me for my birthday. A signed print of the Danger Girl team. But my wife she also got me something. And let me show you this. She ended up getting this right here. Let me see if it'll set right here. It is a signed and remarked print from Usagi Yojimbo by Stan Sakai. And she got this directly from his website. He has a bunch of prints on there, and I've got a couple of prints. You can't see it in the camera, but right above the David Mack and Steranko prints right here, they can't even see where I'm pointing right now. It's right above those prints. I've got a couple of Stan Sakai signed prints up there that I picked up from different comic shows over the years. But you go to his website, and this right here, this style, this drawing that he did right here of Usagi is, to me, one of the best representations of any of his prints of Usagi that I've liked. Basically displaying the way Stan draws him today, this current style. And a lot of the prints, Usagi will be smaller, and it's part of a story and everything. This one, he's front and center, and I kind of wanted it, and I've been watching on his site for the last couple years, and I've kind of kept my eye out on it, and finally I started noticing that there was limited quantities left of this, and I told my wife, I said, hey, this is what I want for my birthday. There's only 250 of these prints that are signed by Stan and remarked, and it's for the 35th anniversary, and there's the signature right down there. You can see the remark. That's a nice remark, by the way. And over here, where is it? Right there says the numbering on there. So, thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much for this. I really appreciate this. This was a great birthday gift. I love when people give you stuff for your birthday or Christmas when you actually ask what you want. I mean, trust me, a lot of people love getting surprised. And a lot of times I'll give choices. This is things I'd like. I don't want everything, but it's kind of surprised me. What do you get? What's your thinking? But with us in this hobby, I noticed it with my baseball hobby and collecting cards, with comics and everything, people don't know what you want. There's so many things out there, and you can buy. You think you're buying the right thing a lot of times, but you're just buying stuff. You're just spending money on stuff that's not really worth it. And I think it's worth, if you really want something like that, that's why I asked my wife, I said, this is specifically what I want for her birthday. And she was real good. So she got that for me. And so thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. But guys, that is it for today. Hope you enjoyed everything. Leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of the books. What do you think of the print? And if you're ever interested in anything on the channel, definitely reach out to me at collectorauctions@yahoo.com or DM me on Instagram. You can also check out what I currently have for sale on my eBay store or my Shortbox page by checking the links in the description down below. So that's it, guys. I'm out of here. Hope you enjoyed it. I will see you for the next show. And remember, guys, every comic has a story.